Have we missed the point on preaching? It's a hard thing to ask. I preached professionally for years, delivered hundreds of sermons. I really love to preach. I love to stand in front of a congregation to preach, but maybe we miss the point biblically. When the Bible talks about preaching, is it the same thing as when we talk about preaching? So when we talk about preaching, we're talking about a professional typically who's on staff, who's paid, who's standing in front of a larger crowd of people, who's talking to people who are mostly already believers, already Christian. If you go to the New Testament and you look up the words for preaching in the Greek New Testament, you're going to find that there are about a dozen words that are translated to preach, but there's two main words that stand out. So I put this in my Bible software, Logos, and we go down here to the Greek New Testament and we find that the word for good news, euangelion, is changed into a verb. They have a verb form of this word, euangelizo, to proclaim the good news. The other word that's used just as much here is caruso. And if we zoom in on caruso and we look at the usages of this, we're not going to find the same idea that we have when we talk about preaching. They were not confined to a location. They were not confined to a paid professional. They were not proclaiming to the already believers. They were people who were out talking to other people publicly about the message of Jesus. If you take this word caruso and you go to BDAG, the premier English Greek lexicon of the New Testament, you find there's two main definitions. Now, I'm going to read these and you see if you think this aligns with what we do when we say we're preaching. The first one is to make an official announcement, to announce, to make known, as if by a herald, an official, someone who functions as a herald, to make an official announcement. The second one is to make a public declaration, to proclaim aloud. Notice that in neither of these instances is the word preach actually the preferred definition. It's more the idea of proclaiming something. You're proclaiming a message. In this instance, in the New Testament, proclaiming the good news about Jesus. Who are you proclaiming it to? You are proclaiming it to people who need to come to faith in Christ. You're proclaiming it to unbelievers. Who is making the proclamation? Well, it could be John the Baptist. It could be Jesus. It could be Paul. Paul tells Timothy to caruso, to proclaim Jesus to people. You see it in the church in Rome where Paul talks about how they've been carusoing, they've been proclaiming, they've been out instructing people in the ways of Jesus. One of the only places where we get like a gathered, assembled group of people who are there for the communion on a Sunday is in Acts chapter 20, and we see in Acts chapter 20 that it's not even, the word for preach is not even here. The word for proclaim is not even here. It just said that in Greek, it says Paul shared a logos with them. Some translations say in Acts 27 that Paul was preaching to them until midnight, but in Greek it just says he had a word for them. Our idea of preaching, which is a set person in front of a set congregation at a set time in a building that's reserved for congregational meeting to a group of already believers, is not what is in mind when you find the words for preaching in the New Testament. So we need to start thinking about our Sunday morning preaching as instruction, sharing a word, sharing something good with the congregation. We need to think about preaching, proclaiming, carusoing as sharing a word about Jesus with someone who's not a believer out in the public arena, like Paul in Athens in Acts 17. The way we've used the word for preach has really undermined discipleship because it's undermined the priesthood of all believers. And so what we've done is we've undermined the everyday ordinary people from the role of preaching or proclaiming, when the idea of carusoing is something anyone can do. Anyone can go and proclaim Jesus. In fact, your best sermon might be with a friend at Starbucks telling them the good news about Jesus. If we think that Matthew 24:14, which is an instance of caruso, that the good news about Jesus will be proclaimed, preached unto all the nations, and then the end will come, the only way to see that come to fruition is to get the carusoing in the hands of more people. What if we gave this responsibility back to the congregation to be gospel carusoers, proclaimers, and the work of preaching was actually seen as in-house instruction, sharing a word, sharing a good thing with the congregation. So hear these words as if you're hearing them for the first time from Romans chapter 10, starting in verse 13. Everyone who calls in the name of the Lord will be saved, and we want that for everyone. And then he says in verse 14, how then can they call on the one they have not believed in? And how can they believe in the one of whom they have not heard? And how can they hear without someone preaching to them? And how can anyone preach, Caruso, unless they are sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of those who bring the good news. They are being sent out from the congregation out to proclaim this message of Jesus to people who don't know, so that they can hear, so that they can believe, so that they can call on him, so that they can be saved. But it's going to require people to go and make this proclamation. And again, it's preaching not in the assembly. It's the assembly who's sending people out to preach to those who are not in the assembly so that they can come and be a part of the Christian family. See how this works? And so what I want you to do with these verses in Romans 10 is maybe you hear for the first time as a disciple that these verses are for you. That just like Isaiah in Isaiah 6, he says, who will go for us? And Isaiah says, here I am, send me. Send me. It can be you. You can go and proclaim a word about Jesus to someone who needs to come to faith. You can do it today. You can do it any day of the week. This message is for you. This message is for me. Preaching is not just a Sunday morning thing. There are very special things that happen in preaching on Sunday. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. But we have so isolated and specified the definition of the term down to such a specific event, and all that I've already covered, that we can't see ourselves in that word. We've even made that word pejorative. You just getting preachy at me? You just going to preach at me or what? And so this word has such a negative connotation that we have a hard time seeing ourselves in the word. But if we think about Caruso as proclaim, this is serious business. And we need to see our role in this for what it is. And then he ends with a blessing. How beautiful are the feet of those who bring good news. May you have beautiful feet as you go out and do what you've never known God could use you to do. And we're going to do it together. We're going to be a little afraid together, a little uncomfortable together, and then we're going to share what we see God doing. God bless you. I think these are really important distinctions. And the second thing I want to say is that I think if we're not careful, preaching itself in its current form can actually hinder discipleship, because it can fool us into thinking that just because we did a sermon series on something means that we've handled it. It means a sermon can emphasize it. A sermon can set the tone of the congregation. A sermon can help set the culture of the congregation, emphasize what's important. But actual discipleship needs to be done with life on life, people with smaller numbers. So, churches have been asked, ministers have been asked, are you a discipling church? So many people say, we're a discipling church. You say, well, why are you a discipling church? We preach on that. We did a quarter on that. We did a series on that. Our small groups have talked about it. But unless it's actually happening, unless it's life on life, people actually with people, mentoring and maturing and coaching in faith to bring them closer to Christ and helping them to do that with other people, you're really just not doing it. A sermon series is talking. A sermon series is important, but it's not actually discipleship. Okay? We need to make these distinctions in our language so that people understand what's being said. So much of this is implicit. So much of it's under the surface. It's never directly stated. No one would ever say, well, you're not supposed to go out there and proclaim this. That's only for the preacher. No one would ever say it. But it's the message we give off. And it's detrimental to the health and well-being of the congregation, of the people, of the mission, and even of the minister, even of the preacher. It's detrimental to the preacher because we need more people proclaiming. It can't just be us. So 2 things as we end. First is, if this is helpful, please like it. Second is, I always say, subscribe to somebody else. Subscribe to Curtis Sargent. I'm throwing a link below. Amazing training, great YouTube channel, wonderful person. Subscribe to Curtis, not me. See you again soon.